Welcome to Short-Term Rental Riches. We'll discuss investing in real estate, but with a specific focus on short-term rentals. Quick, actionable items to acquire, manage, and scale your portfolio. I'm your host, Tim Hubbard. Welcome back to the Short-Term Rental Riches podcast. We got an extra special episode today. As most of you know, we don't have a lot of interviews on the show, but I thought it'd be a good idea to bring on some other experts because there are a lot of experts out there in this big world. And one of them happens to be my friend, John Farber, and I'm really excited to have him on today. Welcome to the podcast, John.
I'm excited to be here, man. I was thinking about it. You probably came onto my show like maybe almost 3 years ago at this point, 2 to 3 years ago. But I remember you were ahead of me, still are ahead of me, just not just in age, but also in experience.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
But I remember at the time, man, I was still living in North Carolina, and you planted the seed in my head that this was possible. I had some properties, but anyway, that was just funny. I was thinking about that right before you hit record. You came on mind. I remember seeing you in Colombia, and I was thinking, man, that's just awesome. He's out there. His business can run in the US, it can run online, whatever. And in my head, maybe it subconsciously was the first seed that got me thinking, maybe I want to follow that similar footstep. Maybe I want to actually come to Colombia too. And then I actually came, and then you left. But I am here now. And but yeah, man, that was 2 or 3 years ago. But no, it's exciting to be on, and just always great catching up.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that part, but that's good to hear. And we've met in person. So a little more on John's backstory. I mean, he became financially free at an early age. He has a great podcast, Millennial Millionaires, and he's really, really doing the thing. So today I think we'll just talk about short-term rentals, but I want to talk a little bit about the lifestyle that we can have if we're financially free, right? And that living in Medellin, for those of you out there, I met John in Medellin, so we've had dinner a few times, and he's just really, really doing the thing. So, so many places to start here. Why don't you just give us a little more about your background, John, and how you got into real estate and just kind of got started?
So I maybe used to say this. I don't really say it as much anymore, but here's how I would describe it. I was not special in any way for any business background or pedigree. I was just working at a software job. I always have been able to focus on things, but I always wanted to become financially free. I always wanted to maybe not work for someone, have time freedom, be able to work and live in different places like Colombia or travel. But I say that because anyone can follow, I think, my story of if you have a job and you start a side hustle and you maybe buy a few properties or a property too, you could do it with creative financing or, very little money or partners. And if you do it that way, you could slowly chip away and achieve that, whatever it's that term, financial freedom, financial independence, whatever you want to call it. But my background was pretty vanilla in the sense of I got a job. I didn't love it that much. There was a huge layoff at the company that really freaked me out because I saw people way ahead of me get laid off from a job. So I was then thinking, what can I do to protect myself? Everyone told me my whole life that the job was safe and secure. Now I just saw all these people get laid off. So I'm doesn't seem that safe and secure. So for me, it was all about then channeling my job to buy income streams. I wanted to make as much money as I could in this vehicle, this job, buy more real estate. So for me, it was just start to stack up 1 or 2 properties a year, try to optimize them and see what was the best strategy to make the highest cash flow. And then it became furnished rentals when I learned about it in 2018, 2019, started to shift into that, furnishing the regular rentals I had, buying rentals just for STRs, and kind of going about it that way. I also got really big and interested into the world of virtual assistants, which I know you have tons of experience with.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit more too, so let's not forget that.
100%. It's become a big passion of mine just with everything. That's the other thing. I remember when we first met, I was like, Tim is the real life Tim Ferriss that I just met. I remember thinking that in my head. I was like, this guy is just like him. He might actually be a little cooler. But anyway, I was like, that could be my new goal. Again, maybe subconscious, maybe not. But anyway, so then just started doing it more. COVID hit, and I really saw that as the opportunity to pour gas onto this thing, to kind of work remotely, go travel around, meet brokers, meet different people. And I kind of looked at it like I had to speed this up before I had to go back to maybe my office, which was only like 1 or 2 days a week, but I still didn't like it. And, things took off from there. That's when I started creating content and all that. And that's when we met. And that's like, the background. And then today, just do more deals virtually. Like we were talking about, I live in Colombia half the year, and then I live in New York the other half. Passion of mine is playing tournament golf. I play like 20 to 30 tournaments a summer. So I practice here, hang out, and then in the summer, pretty much like let the business run itself. I have a director of operations now that can handle a lot of the day-to-day for me and knows that the summer months I'm kind of just playing golf. I'll check on stuff, but I want it to be able to run sort of with or without me. Of course, there's things that I get pulled into, but that's the gist. So beginning to now, kind of what's up, and
Awesome.
yeah, we're in Colombia.
Well, I know you got a ton of experience. What does your portfolio look like today with short-term rentals? You're in multiple markets, or are you focus on
mainly in North Carolina? Mainly in North Carolina. Have 8 STRs there, and then in North Carolina, in Louisville, Kentucky, have a 24-unit apartment building with a few partners, and
Awesome.
probably going to look to trying to buy or do a deal like once a quarter. So kind of my thought is for every STR I do, I want to do a regular deal as well, just for diversity. And why not? Like they're both great, both have pros and cons. So try to mix in a little bit of everything. But that's the current setup.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners know my portfolio is similar too. I got into real estate for passive income to live the life that I wanted to live, right? To travel. And so for me, that wasn't like, oh, I need to do short-term rentals. It's just that short-term rentals happen to be making a much higher return than a lot of my other portfolios. Or a lot of my other properties, but there is a balance there, right? They all come with different risks, different rewards, even just in the short-term rental niche. So, we can compare a luxury vacation rental to an urban city apartment, and they all kind of sort of operate differently. But I guess the goal is just having a good balance that works and allows you to do what you want to do, right? So,
Totally.
I think that's an awesome goal. One per quarter, and you've got the team to help you. I know you're a golf master, which is great. And I know the golf courses down there. So I am not by any means. I've hit a few balls, but I've played the course down there in Colombia, or one of the ones in Medellin, and it was probably the last time. Ran out of balls. I ran out of balls and no more. So
yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's see here. Tell us about your virtual team, because this is a big piece, and it's really necessary if you want to be living wherever you want to, right? If you want an operation to run without you.
I just made something about this, but basically virtual assistants are like a cheat code, I think, in any business. And I think in 2023, more than ever, any business, especially a property management business, where a typical property management business, the returns and the margins are pretty bad, and it can be pretty time intensive. It should almost be mandatory business operations to have virtual assistants helping with some of the virtual tasks, in my opinion. But it could be any business. Like, I've helped friends now that are chiropractors or dentists have a virtual assistant as their receptionist to handle like anything messaging, or even one of them has now just her chilling on an iPad, just greeting people when they walk in. Like, it was a COVID kind of experiment, and now that's awesome. The vibe. Yeah. So, there's like different ways to do it, but for me, I just got really interested in it, and I started with one. I just started actually with content creation, having a VA help with podcast editing and video editing, because it was very simple and very like modelable compared to other things. So just started with that, and then once I got kind of a taste of it, saw there was a lot of other possibility with it: deal analysis, property management, email management, a lot of other little nuances to social media, different platforms. So for me now, the team is, we actually just hired, I guess it's about 10 people now between like, I would
Wow.
say full-time and people that are almost full-time. But to be honest, that might be the cost of two American people, but it's
Hmm.
a 10-person net. Like we were just evaluating this today. This is actually a really important point. I was evaluating, there's a person on our team that, we're trying to decide what their role is going to be. And I was thinking, for what they're making, we could probably hire 4 or 5 more people that are really qualified and really good.
Yeah.
If someone on our team is making 5K a month, you can find a virtual assistant that's making 1K and very happy. Like even
Hmm.
here in Colombia, I've talked to people, they work in call centers, they make $500 or $600 a month, and they have to go to an
Hmm.
office every day, and they hate it. So
Yeah.
just to preface on both sides, like some people might be hearing, oh my God, paying someone 1,000 a month, that's maybe double what they're making in their current country, and they don't even
Yeah.
have to commute if they work for you. So that's the current team. It can span for us deal finding, property management, social media management, personal assistant, and then just miscellaneous operational tasks that pop up, like data
Hmm.
scraping and things like that. But wouldn't be able to do what we do without it. I don't think I'd want to do it the traditional way, just because also like, and this, I'm preaching to the choir here. They have just amazing mentalities compared to some of the, I hate to say it, I'm American, but like compared to some of the American entitled attitude. It is ridiculous, man. When you talk to someone that's 22, 23 years old, coming out of college in the US, no experience, they think they should be making $80,000. Dude, you haven't done anything. You have no
Yeah.
skills whatsoever. Like, you should be in the learning mode instead of I'm not taking this job unless I make 80K mode. So
Hmm.
I guess I'm a little sick of that too. And the
Hmm.
culture and the values that I found overseas or even in Colombia, just very different. Like grateful, excited, energetic, like willing to learn, bringing ideas. So
Hmm.
definitely on the soapbox there, but that's like my view.
No, it's a huge part of. It can be such a huge part of someone's short-term rental operation, and it's one of the things that I love. Like, we have access to the whole world. It's easier than it's ever been. Most people want the ability to work remotely. They don't have, to drive to work and do all of that. And there's just so much talent out there. I mean, it really is exciting. It really is exciting, and it's just creating a whole new era, right? I mean, and also for us that want to be able to live anywhere. Like our team is mainly in the Philippines and Mexico now, but I kind of bounce around. I am virtual as well, and then we have people in the U.S. that are helping to manage properties in other states that are virtual as well. And so it's really exciting, and we talk a lot about on that. We talk a lot about that topic on this channel. I found it really interesting when Airbnb announced that anyone could work remotely. And I think they have about 6,000 employees. And within a month or so after advertising that anyone in their company could work remotely, they had 1 million or so people visit their career page. I mean,
That's
so there's
wild.
just there's so much talent out there, and really all over the place. I mean, so that's exciting for people in the short-term rental world, people that haven't got into it, people that want to work remotely, people that want to be able to travel. It's just really opening up the world. But it's not always easy to hire a virtual assistant or someone helping you virtually. So what are some of the things that you do to try to help manage those virtual relationships and make sure that people are staying productive and those types of things?
So this is the whole like nuts and bolts of it, right? Like people, they may get excited about virtual assistants, but then if you don't get this next part right, it's probably going to be a failure. So getting the hiring and the onboarding and the managing and the goal setting right is so important, I think, to have success, because I'm sure you've talked to people too. Maybe in the US, I've talked to quite a few that say, oh, I tried hiring a virtual assistant. It didn't work. Well, okay, let's peel back what was actually going on. Like, what did you
Hmm.
give them as instructions? Did they have training? Did you have them set up with your tools? Like, how often were you talking to them? And then when you peel that back, you'll figure things out. So first and foremost, I think it's important to think about, and this is now like a distinction we make, if the person has experience, we're going to pay them more, but we're going to expect to train them less. It sounds simple, but it's something people often miss, where people will hire someone to do something they've never done, and they're hiring someone that has no experience with that thing, and then they wonder why they can't manage or train that person. And it's because neither people know how to do it. So if we do go with that route, which sometimes we do now, we'll either hire someone that has experience and we give them clear goals. And if they don't give us signs that they're going to achieve those goals in 2 to 3 weeks, we just let them go. On the other side of it, if it's someone that is inexperienced, but we're getting for a lower price, what we'll do is we'll invest in training for them so that they can learn as we learn. Like, for example, we just hired a new content VA yesterday. They're going to help us with just LinkedIn and launching a new course that we want to launch. For both of those activities, we bought products and we bought courses for them to follow steps and learn alongside of us. So we bought them Justin Welsh's LinkedIn playbook, and then we bought them a course creator course for using a new tool that we want to ramp up when we launch our new course. Okay. So they're going to just be able to follow step by step, and we don't have to train them, but they don't have that much experience. We're not going to have to pay them as much as someone that might. So it just depends. I think if you hire someone that's new, you should be investing in training, or you're going to be doing the training yourself. And if you're hiring someone that has experience, I think you need to be very quick to hire and fire those people, because they can say one thing, but if they're not showing you sign of performance really early on, then it's just not going to work. That's something that we had to learn. We would keep people on way longer than we should have when we knew it wasn't going to be a fit. You know pretty quick if someone doesn't have that communication style or that energy or that attitude that you want. My advice, just fire them right there. It's better for both people. You're not stringing them along, and you're not hurting your own company. So I have a bunch more like little tactics, but those are just some high level things. But if you want, we could dig into some tactical stuff or however you want to go with it.
Yeah, so great tips there, John. I think that, the interesting thing with training is like, I've hired a lot of people in the US and they didn't work out well either. And again, it comes back to training and setting goals and making sure that everyone's on the same page. So there are a lot of ways to do that. One of the things I like working with virtual assistants, well, really, I guess this could be anywhere, but there's so many resources available online right now, right? So, just like your course for content that you had one of your team members watching. I mean, sometimes we'll just say, find the best YouTube channels that talk about this specific topic, how we can improve it, and let us know what you learned. And so I like to do that, and I have a daily sheet that all of our team members fill out, and that's one of the questions we have on there is like, what did you learn today? And we kind of give them free reign. It can be on podcasts. It's kind of funny. A lot of my team actually, they listen to all my podcasts because it helps train for the short-term rental space, but they also get to know me a little better, I guess, at the same time. So I guess you could do similar things since with your podcast and some of the content you have. But
so one little quick thing that just I think some listeners might find important. I got this from a guy named Michael Hyatt, one of my favorite books called Free to Focus. He talked about everything that they do in their company. They record the steps, they create videos for it, and then it's used for two purposes: internal training, but it also becomes products that they sell. And when I heard that, it just clicked with me. Like, if we use a Notion database for our Airbnb management process that we use with cleaners or internal tracking, why not give it as content or sell it? Other people might want it too if it's working for us. And when we had that kind of like shift in thinking, it made our whole process different, because now we built everything. It's so cheesy. I can't believe I'm just like ripping off cliches here. It was like built to sell. Like, we would build it knowing that it would be packaged up and seen by other people. So we would build it a little cleaner, or think about it a little bit more like thoughtfully, instead of just not having a process. So that was really important. But can I ask you a question actually, Tim? I want to hear more about that daily sheet, because I love nerding out about this stuff. I find it really interesting. Just different people's business operations. Like, for us, we use like Slack. They do like a morning check-in and an afternoon check-in, and then Notion. But could you tell me more, or tell everyone, I guess, about like the way that your VAs communicate with you or with a manager and then like use a sheet to log like what they did that day or what's going on?
Yeah, so we have a simple Google form that each team member fills out. It says today's date, what did I do today, what can I help you with? And so I don't review with all of our team members regularly. Some of them might be every few weeks or maybe even every month or longer. Or some of our other team members are managing other members, and so they do the reviewing. But I think the process is the same for any step. And it just allows you to, let's say someone fills out their daily checklist for 2 weeks and you haven't talked with them. Well, any questions, any issues that came up that maybe weren't urgent and came across from a Slack channel or from something else, you have it there. So you can kind of pick up on everything, make sure you don't miss anything. I like to add another one in here too, John, and this one's cheesy, but it says, what am I grateful for today? And it's not required, like not everyone has to fill it out. Not everyone does every day, but they do pretty often. And it's cool to go in because it's a little more challenging to build a relationship working with people virtually than it is in an office, for example, right? We're not seeing them all the time, especially if we're not meeting with them all the time. So it allows you to kind of get a little bit of their personal life without being too intrusive. It might say,
Totally.
I enjoyed a fabulous cup of coffee today, or I enjoyed going out for a walk with my dog, So it kind of just brings in the person side to the job. But yeah, it's a basic Google form, and every time they fill it out, it goes into an Excel sheet on the background. So the Google Forms are free. So we use those for a lot of things, but it's been a good, really easy tool that anyone can use working with anyone virtually.
So every person on the team has their own Google form link, and then that's just their form that they fill out daily, and then you could check it whenever you want.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is like if you change tasks that you're working on, a team member changes their roles or something changes, all you have to do is then edit that form and add another question in there, and then that just becomes something that they're seeing every day and responding on. And so it's kind of like our checklist that we use for housekeepers, where we have certain things that we want them to do all the time, and we use Breezeway for all of our housekeeping checklist. We've talked about that in a prior episode, but it basically allows us to keep a checklist for a specific person or role and edit it whenever we need to, in either way. So if someone's filling out a task every day that they don't need to, well, then we can take it off. But if they're missing something every day, then we can add it on. So
I like that.
I like checklists.
Yeah, for sure. It's great with VAs. That's a really important thing.
Yeah.
That's a really important thing.
All right, let's see here, John. So we know that the VA, having a remote team is easier than ever. We've got to make sure that we're training them properly, but this really can free up a lot of time. It can be a lot more affordable, especially if we're earning American dollars, because they're stronger than they basically ever have been. Part of the reason they're stronger, though, is because we've got some crazy things going on in the economy. And so as a real estate investor, just to get your outlook on today's environment, and if you've changed strategies or anything maybe versus this time a year ago.
We're definitely a little more conservative now. We're definitely analyzing more deals before making offers. I think we're looking at every deal now a little bit more with what's our exit strategy or what's our worst case scenario. We always looked at that, but now we just want to be more careful. As far as things with like interest rates and home prices, what we're seeing, it's not preventing us from doing anything. And talking to other people that are in the space, it hasn't prevented them either, with just a little bit of a pivot. Because a year ago, prices were really high and rates were really low. So your monthly price, was one price. Now prices are down, but rates are up. So the price still might be similar in a monthly payment. But what we've seen over the last, let's say, 2 months is that rates have started to drop slightly and prices are still lower or dropping. Like rates, I think maybe 5 months ago were 7 or 8% for a lot of the loans we were looking at. Now we're seeing loans back in the upper fives, low sixes, and the home prices are still what they were, what we've seen 5 or 6 months ago, dropping. So we're just more careful. We're definitely looking at more deals. We're offering on deals that maybe would be on market longer, and we can be more aggressive. Our methodology is always just to make a lot of offers. You don't know what's going to happen, so we're trying to make, maybe last year it would have taken 10 offers to get a contract. Now it might take 20, and we're going to look at the deals a little more closely. Maybe we're talking to a few more people. But yeah, like for this quarter, like I said, every other quarter, this quarter we're bouncing back to buying a traditional, maybe small apartment building. That's going to be a regular rental. Last quarter we bought a nice looking STR building in Asheville, North Carolina. So we're just always going to buy, but it's a matter of the type of deal, or maybe if we're seeing things pivot against short-term rentals for some reason, we would just buy another regular type of building. But I really do look at real estate. Just another cliche, I'm just ripping these, is like the most successful people I've had on my podcast, they just buy more real estate and they wait. They don't wait to buy. They're just smart with what they buy. Most of the time, their biggest regret was ever selling anything instead of pulling the equity out of it more. You hear it all the time. So those are the pivots. We're just more careful. We're looking at more deals. But again, just to preface also, there's a lot of the Airbnb bus stuff that you see online or the internet. If I could just address that for a sec. I don't think the vacations are going away. I think people are always going to take vacation. I think hotels are still going to exist. So if you think those two things are still going to exist, I think Airbnbs and VRBOs are still going to exist. Granted, the industry is going to change. There might be more regulation, or if there's more saturation or supply, more people getting on. I think what I just take that as, you need to be more competitive. You need to improve. You need to put out a great product and be great with management if you want to compete. And I think that's just like any business. There might be a golden era where there's less competition, but that doesn't mean that the industry goes away. It just refines, or the top players keep improving and keep scaling. So just my whole thought in general on like current market, but like what we're doing today, we're still buying.
Yeah. A lot of good points there. Yeah, I hear that quote pretty often. It's similar to what you said, right? It's you don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. Now, of course, we don't want to buy anything, so it's good that we're conservative with what we're buying. And really, the premise behind that is that, really, like, we shouldn't be buying a property for appreciation anyways, right? So if we can buy a property that's cash flowing now and it makes sense, it's gonna be a good investment. It's gonna help us become financially free. And if our interest rates are high right now and it makes sense, and interest rates go down in the future and we can refinance, then it's gonna be even better deals. So
exactly what you just said is so spot on.
Always two sides to every story. I think just the short-term rental outlook in general is that way more people are staying in short-term rentals than they ever have, right? So maybe there was a crazy increase in supply. And again, we can't talk about real estate as if it's like one market or one type of property, right? Every market's different. Every market has different opportunities and risks. And then each type of short-term rental is different as well. So I know we saw some big increases in supply in the vacation side of that. I think we're just going back to like a new normal, and management, like you said, has become much more important, because we can have two short-term rentals right next to each other and one of them can be doing much better than the other one just because of management, even if the properties are identical. So great points there. Go ahead.
One really important point, though, I think that also, like, again, I've taken a page out of your playbook. It's really important to think about this. The Airbnb owners or investors that are paying a property manager 25%, they're also going to get washed out, because they can't afford to maintain lower margins. But someone like you or me or other people that either have optimized management strategies or virtual assistants, you're going to be, if you were to compare what you're paying in management to them, it might be 3%, it might be 4% when you break out salaries or bonuses compared to 25%. So of course, who do you think is going to win in that scenario? The traditional sort of dinosaur mentality, the person that hasn't adapted, or they just thought they could kick their feet up and pay a property manager 25%. Of course, now they're going to be pinched and they're going to maybe be losing compared to someone that has lower costs or just a better optimization.
Yeah, and that, that's a great point. And that 25%, that comes off of the gross. That's not coming off of their net income. So, I mean, someone could be paying property manager even if their property's not making money, right? Or even if they're not netting any money at the end of the day.
There are people that pay their property manager makes more than they do. That's also why I tell people getting into property management, if you could do it with systems and automation and VAs, it might be better than actually owning the property in some cases. Because you do see that. If someone's taking 25% of revenue, after all expenses are paid, the owner might be barely making money. They're probably going to make less than the property manager. So you need to be good with the numbers. But yeah, that's why I think just learning systems and process is so important.
Yeah. And having that virtual team, I mean, we talk all the time on this show, like it's very doable to do this on your own. Now, not everyone wants to do it or has the time, or it's maybe not important to them, but first, it is very doable, to lower your management costs too. Just hire one assistant even, can help a lot with that. So great points there. Well, let's jump in just to one last question here. We're doing all of these things, building teams and investing in properties and looking for the best opportunities and weighing our risks. We're doing all this for most of us because we want to be able to live a life that we want to be able to live, right? And I know that you are the real deal, and you are golfing every day. I don't know how many times, and you're doing well. So can you speak just a little bit about that? What, I guess, this podcast is short-term rental riches, but rich doesn't necessarily mean being rich financially. It can mean whatever we want it to mean. So I guess what does it mean to you, and how are you trying to live a rich life?
Okay, there's a quick story I want to tell. You've probably heard it, or anyone that's read the book 4-Hour Workweek is probably familiar with it. But the short version is there's a guy selling either like fish or coconuts on a beach somewhere, maybe the Bahamas or whatever. Okay, so he's on a beach, and like some business guy comes up to him and starts asking him about his business and asks him, wow, like you're doing these type of numbers. Have you ever thought about scaling? Or maybe if you hired some employees, you could improve your operation. And every time the business guy gives a recommendation, the guy on the beach says, why? Why would I do that? And he just keeps asking. And the business guy keeps getting all the way to the end. He says, so you could hire people and you could raise capital and you can, build a factory and inventory, and then you can IPO, and then you can sell, and then you can sit on a beach and do exactly what you're already doing. So it was like the guy said, but I'm already doing that. I'm already doing the outcome that I would have had to do that entire 30-year hamster wheel to get to. And that story really hit me. Now, yes, you have ambition. I have ambition. We still want to achieve things. And I think for me, and we all have different wiring, I like the feeling of achievement. I like the feeling of being productive. I like the feeling of building things. It just makes me actually feel like I'm doing something. Like I have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Me and you could just chill and play golf every day or be on a beach and just do nothing else. I think we'd get pretty bored. And for me, I wanted to find a lifestyle that I could make money, I could enjoy the work that I was doing, I could enjoy the people I was around, but I could also still do the fun things that I enjoy and relax and have quality of life. So I do have a little bit of this. It depends on the day. Some days I'm like, I want to start a big business and grow this. But then other days I'm like, no, I am happy with making money passively and growing something and kind of having, a lifestyle that I want. But the thing that actually changed all this for me, there was this one video my friend sent me from a guy named Frank Kern. He looks like a total hippie in the video. Like he looks just like a surfer hippie dude that doesn't know anything. You wouldn't expect to know anything about business or making money. The guy is super rich, super successful. But basically what he talks about in that video is coming up with an ideal perfect day that you could live every day and not get bored of, but also enjoy and get some fulfillment out of. So it's not setting long-term goals. I want this dollar amount by this. I want a boat. I want this. Just what would you be happy doing every day? And that was the craziest exercise, because when I put that on paper and started to think about it, I was thinking, okay, I'm here. This is where I want to be. What changes can I start making, even if I'm not financially there? And it was the craziest thing. Like a little over a year later, I was living that exact lifestyle. And I still have the exact like write out of, I want to be doing like important work with my team in the morning, either content creation or coaching them or managing them, working on things that scale. I want to be working on the business, not in the business. And then every afternoon, I want to be getting out to the golf course, 1 or 2 o'clock, playing golf, hanging out with friends, and coming back, kind of like wrapping up my day, dinner, whatever. And like, I couldn't believe it, but that happened. So I looked at it like, okay, this is a leveraged way to grow a business, to make money, but also to enjoy every day and actually like be happy with what I'm doing. So that's a cool video. If anyone wants to check that out, it's just Frank Kern, Perfect Day on YouTube. It's not cheesy or anything. Like he tells it in like a really funny way, but that's like my vibe for now. And I don't know, I'm 29. Yeah. I got to figure out if I want to do anything different, but like I'm pretty happy right now. You know, sure, there's days that aren't, but like in general, I'm not jealous of anyone that still works in that old job that I used to work in. Like, and I never think about going back to that. So anytime I have a bad day, like entrepreneurship, I just think like I could be doing that. So like, it's not that bad, you know?
Totally. Well, that is some great input and advice. Yeah. I think writing out your perfect day is a fabulous exercise. And if we have it on paper, you know, it changes from maybe just being a dream to being more of a plan. And the more detailed, the better. You know, I've done this quite a few times as well. I've kind of always been into goals, but I discovered this exercise a little while ago too. And it is just mind-blowing to write something down and then just to realize one day that that's sort of what you're living out. But things do change, right? And so it's something we need to do continuously. Like you might write your perfect day in 1 year and it's got a lot of things that are different. It takes place in a different place, you know, it's just completely different. So it's good to always be just thinking about these things and what we actually want. So John, I know we could chat for hours. You got tons of great advice, and you share a lot of that advice. So can you let our audience know where they can find you and connect with you?
Easiest way to get in touch is just on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you just search John J. Farb, JONJFARB, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, same handle. And then on LinkedIn and Facebook, just Jonathan Farber. We actually just started doing a daily deals done for you kind of blast every day, where every day we're sending out now a newsletter of deals that are above our search criteria that just, we can't do that many deals, but we have someone that just analyzes deals all day. So if anyone is looking to find more deals or struggling to find deals, not sure what areas to pick, you could check that out. And that's something that I think is going to be like a big project for us to just get that off the ground and be sending it out.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, we'll make sure to get that in the notes. And thanks for being on, John. And I will see you in Medellin, hopefully sometime later this year.
That sounds good, man. Unless I get out to Brazil, but sounds good, man. We got to link up either way.
Want to get on the fast track to financial freedom through short-term rentals? Well, it all starts with the properties you acquire, but you want to make sure that you acquire the right properties. I want to give you my ebook that will show you how to do just that. There is no charge. It's my gift to you for being one of our subscribers. Just go to restmethods.com. That's REST methods.com.